Stuck.
We might be stuck in a pattern of civilizational collapse, and it's because our
Oh,
relationships are not as strong as they used to be. This video is a long overdue answer to the question, why is promiscuity bad? The answer is kinda complicated. Let's start with this. Why would promiscuous behavior, as pictured here, cause a collapse of civilization? I
no
put together
trust.
this map. It's originally created by
Everybody's sleeping with everybody, but nobody's creating actual bonds together. Nobody's sharing each other's energy and trying to prosper and create something better than just an orgasm.
Ken Wilber. This is just my easy to read version. As a quick reference for developmental psychology, how people's minds develop individually from birth until wherever you stop, and how that affects the development of society and culture. And over here, there's this little grid that shows the individual mind and culture, and individual behavior and society. The way that people's minds work is going to form a culture. The way that
Yep,
culture works is going to shape society. The way that
yep,
society works is going to influence your mind, and the way your mind works will influence your behavior. All these things are interrelated. So,
of
society,
course.
which we depend on for everything we have, is based on the way that we relate to each other, which is falling apart very quickly, due in large part to acceptance of promiscuous behavior. Here's a bunch of little heartbreaks and lower relationship strength. Our relationships also suffer because we don't understand each other, and that's something you can fix. And today's sponsor, Ground News, can help. You are on the internet right now, so you're confused. We all are. Algorithms make us feel bad, blame it on other people, and then attack them like idiots. This is not making us smarter. We need perspective. That's why Ground News has an app and a website that shows you where your news is coming from. Ground News gives you different takes on the news all in one place, and it helps you spot potential bias. Look at this story about trans students in red states. There's a bias comparison. Ground News shows you who's reporting on it, and they even have a nice little picture. Now you
That's
can see
good.
all in one place that
It's so
left-leaning
simple.
outlets say that red states are challenging inclusivity, while right-leaning outlets say that they're protecting women and girls. They even have a blind spot feed with stories that are all right or all left, so you can break out of your bubble. If you want to be a free thinker with less effort, click
Or
this link
stick
in the
to it.
comments or scan the QR code. You'll get 40% off the Vantage plan, which I use for unlimited access to every feature. That's ground.news/HM for 40% off the Vantage plan. Click it in the comments. If we remain unable to understand each other, we tend to do what we want instead of thinking about what's right. Basically, when people are allowed to do whatever they want, it degrades us from this stable model of courtship and relationship formation to this unstable one. In the old one, we could have stable marriages that were enforced by social conventions, and in the new one, there's a few guys who
That
get
can get
all the
anything.
attention that they
Yeah.
can handle, and so they don't commit to women, and therefore most of the women get played and dumped over and over, and these guys get no attention, and that makes everyone unhappy, and it also is really bad for stable marriages that produce children. And this model is only possible when people believe I can do whatever I want and you can't judge me. If you allow people to behave like this, then they stop building this and it turns into this. Modern people believe that the world is made of individuals. It is actually made of
Society.
relationships. In the same way that a pile of bricks is not a building. In order for the building to work, the bricks have to be arranged in a certain way, they have to be connected, and once the bricks start saying, I don't want to be part of a building anymore, I want to do me, then the building starts decaying, and then the other bricks say, well, if you're not doing your job, then I won't do my job. And we go from a building to a pile. A big part of
Yep.
this decay is the sexual revolution, which is actually just a decay. It's reverse development. We are going from higher levels down to lower ones. I've been over this in previous videos. This one's called Saturday Scaries. Basically, all cultures have to grow through these levels. You can't skip stages. And when a culture develops from this low impulsive stage to the rules and roles stage, they come up with strict social norms, and they eventually grow to the achiever stage, which is like corporate, keeping up with the Joneses, and eventually into this sensitive, individualistic hippie stage where people start saying, hey man, everyone's like unique and we should all do what we want, bro. And at that stage, they have a tendency to get rid of the rules at this stage, and then all of the new people who are born, because everyone's born at stage 1, they don't have any rules to learn to grow up to the next stages, and it causes developmental arrest, and people get stuck down here. That's what we're experiencing right now.
So how do we fix that? Well, we fix that by fixing ourselves. So nobody else is going to change you or fix you. It's up to you to educate yourself or try and become more than what you are. I know doomer mentality is something that's prevalent, but it's like they say, teamwork does in fact make the dream work.
So this is not moving beyond the rules, it's just getting rid of them. Way back at the beginning of my channel, somebody asked me, why is promiscuity bad? I didn't even have colored pencils yet. There's the old version of the drawing. I think she thought she got me. I don't think she expected this as an answer. So this perception has become really common. And ironically, it's coming from a really high level of development. What they're saying is that we should all be allowed to do what we truly want and be who we are, and society's rules are just holding us back from our true selves. And that might be true if both you and your partner or partners are at this level, but that's really, really rare. So if you are a young person growing up and you hear that message that society is just holding us back from what we really want, you're not going to hear it at this level.
What is it that you really want?
Because you are not there yet. You're going to hear that message at the level that you are on, and it's going to sound like everyone else is trying to get their own way, and so I'm going to get mine. And the more that that gets reinforced, the more you stay stuck, unable to learn the belonging and cooperation skills that are necessary to keep moving up the ladder. In other words, if you want people to develop to these higher stages, which we do, they have to learn the rules before they can break them. Like if you want to do bike tricks, you have to
gotta learn how
start
to
with
ride
the
the bike.
basics. You want to be a jazz musician, start with hot cross buns. So again, this message, it's saying why bother learning the rules before breaking them, and it's leaving a lot of people stuck. And then those stuck people will not be able to keep civilization functioning. We have known this for a long time. Back in the 12th century, some guy named Salahuddin Ayyubi, liberator of Jerusalem, that's probably debatable, but he sounds important. He said, if you want to destroy any nation without war, make adultery or nudity common in the young generation. Sound familiar? This is from a website called Muslim Skeptic, and they need your support. Apparently, relying on Allah is not working out. The Muslim world is very much concentrated at this level right now, the rules and roles level. The control of self and others through faith and discipline level, the fundamentalism level, and that's because they experienced their own collapse a few centuries ago. I just spoke to Rudyard Lynch of What If Alt Hist about this. Check out his channel. And he explained to me that history does not work like this. It's not, feminism was invented yesterday and now everyone's going to be happy forever. There really are a lot of fluctuations between feminine and masculine control of society, and if you get too far in either direction, things get bad. And the Islamic world went too far in this direction and had an overcorrection, and now they are still hanging out up here. Some of this even happened recently. This was Iran in the 70s, and so was this. They look like they're from Wisconsin. That was before the Iranian Revolution. And let's not forget Afghanistan, then and now. So this lie that the more feminist things get, the happier everyone's going to be, it just is not real life. In reality, hyper-feminization causes its own problems, and the reaction might not be fun. What are these problems caused by glorious feminist freedom? Well, as women become liberated from men, which means getting materials that men produce without having to marry them, women experience a greater ability to choose, and they no longer have to settle for someone who is exactly on her level. Women become more free to pursue somebody who might have a full dance card and might not be interested in anything long term. This matches the results we get from dating apps. Women seem not to be very interested in most men, at least not until women get to know those men. This more equitable style of pairing off is what happens in tight-knit communities. But those tight-knit communities come from living at this level, where the mentality is to do what is right in order to get what is good in life. Nobody wants to do that anymore. They'd rather do what they want. People who live at this level look Amish to us now. We are therefore no longer bound together. It's every man for himself. And when people
which
do
doesn't
what
work.
they want, that's level 3 here, instead of doing what their community wants for them, doing what is right according to the rules and roles of your culture, people no longer form or remain in these stable and equitable relationships because there's no social or cultural pressure to do so. It takes a village. They just go, I'm not happy, because everyone's going to be not happy at some point in a relationship, and you need something to keep you together. Without that, people just bail out into this mess where there's no social or cultural oversight. And when that happens, when
It's a
nobody
dog eats
is
dog world
keeping
out
your
there.
relationship together, then everybody tries to just do the best that they can, and
It's a
that's
race.
gives very lopsided results, because men who are very high in demand will often sleep with women who are not very high in demand, and it just doesn't work the other way around. Like,
You know, it's interesting because I was actually talking to a woman yesterday, and she is living here in Thailand as well, right? And she was telling me about the stories of how she dated millionaires and this and that. And she would give this advice to other women that wanted to be like in her position, that in order for you to even get a man like that, you have to realize it's going to come with sacrifices, which is why she says her last relationship didn't work out. It's the fact that if you want this man with a large income, he doesn't have a lot of time for you. So you want a man that has a lot of money, the ability to do everything for you, fly you out, get you gifts, live an extravagant lifestyle, but he's never home. He barely gets to talk to you. He'll probably send you like 3 texts a day, right? Because he's so busy keeping this lifestyle going. He's working so hard all the time. But then you realize, as a woman, supposedly, I'm not a woman, right? But you realize, hey, there's an emotional bond that I want with my partner, right? So all these fancy purses and cars, those are something that should be earned within your relationship. At least that's my perspective. Because if you just get the bag, you get the cars, you get the house, sure, you might enjoy it for like maybe a month or two, but when you realize it's just you enjoying the success, and it's not even a success that's earned. It's just that you're attractive and now he's with you, but he's not even truly with you, because just because you're hot doesn't mean he's not getting a bunch of other hot girls, right? He's a 9, he's a 10. You're the side piece. You might be an 8 or a 7, but you're not a 9 or a 10, right? A 10 will marry a 10. A 10 is not going to marry a 9 unless they want to bring that 9 up to that 10 standard. But if you're an 8, that ain't happening.
not very high in
Remember
demand,
that.
and it just doesn't work the other way around. Like, Taylor Swift is not out here picking up
I'll
guys
be on her podcast. She's gonna interview me. I think it was Tuesday. I'll let you guys know. Well, I'll put a link somewhere. You guys can check it out and hear the words from herself, from her perspective.
who work at McDonald's. So promiscuity is bad because it means do what I want. And doing what you want means that nobody has any say over whether or not you stay in your marriage but you. So as soon as it feels bad, you're going to leave, and you're going to
It's a
jump
terrible
into
idea.
this disaster where you're going to go
If you're gonna get married to somebody, make sure you guys are compatible. Make sure you have multiple things that keep your interest aligned. And then even if things go bad, remember, hey, not every relationship is perfect. So thug it out. Unless he's like literally abusing you, then yeah, get out.
go look for the best you can get, and you're going to convince yourself that this guy almost married you, even though he would never be seen with you in public. And then you're going
Damn.
to get your heart broken so many times that you're just going to start hating men, and you're going to go, all men are the same, all men, even though you're only talking about these men. And these
There's
men
more
down
men.
here
There's
are
more
so
men.
completely detached from society and hopeless that they don't have any reason to contribute to society at all. And then
Understandable.
everything falls apart because nobody is building. So, in terms of development, these people, who are a small percentage of the population but tend to be very powerful because they're smarter and richer, they're saying we should be allowed to do what we want as long as we don't hurt anyone. And that message is heard by these people as we should be allowed to do what we want. And they don't hear the
Period.
second part. And that leaves more and more people stuck down here, unable to ever learn how to not make everything about themselves.
And you know what the crazy part is? The reason why he is making this video, the reason why he made this colorful chart, the reason why he's responding to all these people is because even though some of them think that they know everything, right? The girl that asked the original question, what's wrong with promiscuity, right? She might be thinking, oh, I got him. But even if she's thinking that, an actual correct response, which is what this is, even though they might not listen, other people will. And when they start picking up the pieces and they start having a better life, maybe then the original person that asked the question will look around and say, damn, maybe I did make a mistake. But just because you make a mistake doesn't mean you can't correct it. That is what society is about. We're supposed to take care of each other because nature in itself is hard. Nature in itself is deadly, which is why, as humans, we came together to create something better than just going out in the woods, living on our own until eventually a wolf creeps up on you and eats you alive.
And that is a bad thing. So it's not
You're damn
controversial to
right.
say that promiscuity is increasing. What is controversial is how much and why it matters. But all the bad things you would expect to see are there. The birth rate is dismal. People are getting married later than ever. Rudyard told me that once that number reaches 28, it's bad news. So we might be stuck. The increase in single motherhood is not good for children. We've known that for a long time. And psychiatric medication rates are spiking amid
Damn.
ongoing uncertainty. Again, I'm pretty certain that it is the breakdown of society. When you switch from this to this, all of these guys and pretty much all women become less happy, and the only winners are just these guys up here who have all the options in the world, which is kind of funny because over here the whole feminism thing was like, men are winning, let's switch to this. Now it's just less men winning. So once again, in short, these people at this level, the sensitive individualist types, they wanted to move beyond the rules and live their best lives. And they were foolish enough to believe that everybody could do that, which is false. They can't. So instead of working within the rules, they just got rid of them. And when you do that, everything collapses. So, what is the solution? Well, we have to get away from this model where people do what feels good in the moment and back to this model where people make decisions that are good for them and the long term and good for their communities. But how are we going to do that if everybody is still stuck down here? We don't have
Educate
any
them.
structure anymore. All of the messaging coming from media and universities and culture, it's all saying you are a special, unique individual and nobody should be able to tell you what to do. And so nobody is learning the basics of how to be a part of something that works. It's me, me, me. That's what's killing us. Now, on the other hand, China has actually increased its marriage rate for the first time in 9 years. How did they manage
Congratulations.
that? Well, the government has been campaigning to promote marriage. What does that look like? Well, I'm not sure, but I know what
I'm not either. Honestly, I don't know how that works.
it doesn't look like. I have referred to this phenomenon of women going after guys who won't commit as being stuck on her highest setting. It's also called being an alpha widow. It's when she
That
remembers
alpha
one
widow's
guy forever
crazy.
who no one else can ever measure up to. And
Wow.
she dreams of being with him even though he's not coming back. Cultivating that
Yeah.
attitude is central to this collapse. So I'm going to finish my point with just a few examples of what this does to the minds of Western women. Yes, even grandma. These are all just TikToks that I collected over time. They were all very popular. This
Okay.
is what women are saying to each other.
Okay, let's
Here
hear
we
it.
go. Celebrity crush. She says, all that work and what did it get me? Because she pulled her celebrity crush and doesn't like regular people anymore. So
Sucks to
she
suck.
pulled her celebrity crush, but could not keep
You
him
couldn't keep
because
them.
she's not at his level. And now that is her new highest setting.
Good
He's all
luck.
she can think about, and normal guys don't do it anymore. For more information, watch Pull. Here's another. She's singing "Gotta Whisper 'Cause I Can't Be Too Loud." She says this even though she posted it to the internet. She knows she's gonna drunk call the guy she really wants at her bachelorette party. I made this video a while back about a guy who proposed to a girl twice, and she said no twice, but she still wanted to be with him. And he got frustrated and said, what is she waiting for? And the answer was probably another guy who she wanted to come back and replace this one, even though he was never gonna do that. And she already knows this is her in 10 years at her bachelorette party. Here's a girl who has to say goodbye to her type because she wants to be treated like a princess. So in order to get out of this area and into this area, she knows she has to settle for less, even though this guy is not her type. Here's another marriage one. She's planning to leave a man at the altar if her old buddy comes back. This one's harsh. Something she's not ashamed of is she will always choose her ex-situationship over anyone that thinks they have me. That is brutal. She would drive 2 hours to see him and can't commit to a good guy because of him. You should be ashamed of that.
100%.
Here's a girl skipping through the snow who's single but not really because she's loyal to the guy who won't text her back because he has better options.
It's funny, but it is absolutely fucking sad. I am not on TikTok. Right? I'm barely on Instagram. But to see that this is what women are promoting to each other is absolutely disgraceful to the human race. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. But guess what? You're not. Why? Because you guys are dumb. Like, that's the nicest way I can put it without cussing you out and just, spew a whole bunch of toxicity. But you guys are legitimately dumb, and you guys need to get educated. You guys can't educate yourselves. You do need to be educated. And the internet does have a lot of things to educate you. But at the same time, it also has a lot of distractions, which is why I don't necessarily blame people for being dumb. Because how can you get smart when everything is in your face to advertise to you to buy some shit? Every time you look online, hey, buy this, buy that, sponsored by this, that, and the other, right? Legitimately, the only way for you to do it is if you separate yourself from it. Take this and throw it the fuck away, bro. Throw it away for a day. I can't even say pick up a book, bro. Just go online and get a book. Don't nobody go read physical books anymore for some reason. It's a sad reality. And I'm just gobsmacked because, back when I was doing content creation as a job, and I had a chat of men, and they would say, yeah, this is real life. Like, they sent me a video of women talking about some bullshit, legitimate bullshit, and praising it as if it was the God honest truth. And I was just like, no way, they're joking. This isn't serious. This isn't real. And they were all saying, yes, it is real. It is absolutely sad, and it's basically pathetic. You'd rather be in a situationship with a guy that does not give a fuck about you because he's hot. You're dumb. Absolutely dumb. Let's continue the video.
Same drawings over and over. Let's speed this up. On my way to engagement party, thinking of my ex, running back to a man who hurt her before. Ha 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 ha. Wee!
Dummy mentality.
The player have played me too. I'm so shocked. Forcing
Dummy
herself
mentality.
To go out with a good guy while waiting for the toxic one.
Almost all girls have that one guy that no matter what, if he were to text her at any point, she would be like, yes, let's be together. Like, there's...
Bro, so what are these women, right? Because obviously, physically, sure, they look good. But what are these women? Are these 6s? Are these 7s? Are these 5s? What are these? Because I'm not going to lie, I am honestly kind of terrified, right? How can you just be so dumb and be openly honest about how dumb you are? Fucking strange world we live in, man.
What? If he were to text her at any point, she would be like, yes, let's be together.
Why?
Like, there's always that one guy. I don't know, it's either history or like he just is everything she wants, and they're probably not together, and they probably don't even chit chat. But the minute that he texts her, she's like, yeah, of course. I would leave anyone for him.
I was talking to my therapist about my man who's not my man but is my man, and she's like, okay,
what the fuck?
I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but can I see a picture of him? And
no.
She pauses and goes,
no.
okay, I get it. I see why we're in this situation. She starts like cracking up and she's like, he's really hot. I'm like, I know. Score.
It's not scoring if you don't secure him. It's not a score because he beat up your guts for one night. The score would be you got a ring on this man's finger. That's the actual score. You numbnuts.
We all have that one like situationship. It wasn't even someone we dated, but it's like a situationship that we now compare everyone else to. And I mean that in a sense of like, you had a situationship with someone, like you bonded so well, you never actually dated, you guys never actually had a title or anything, but like they changed how you view romantic partners. And so now it's like you talk to someone new and it's like, yeah, but they're not blank. They're not.
Bro, stop comparing them. Stop comparing them. Every single human is like comparing apples to oranges. Okay? Everyone is going to be different. Just because they're the same race or they might do the same activities do not make them the same person. The guy that you're chasing for that does not want you does not want you. So move to somebody that does want you, somebody that will appreciate you, someone that will care for you. Oh, they're not as whatever. They're not as sensual, whatever. They don't smell as good. Okay? Too bad. You can't have what you want. And that's just life. Did nobody teach you guys as children you can't always get what you want? Because that follows you throughout life. It's not just about toys. It's not just about makeup. It's about humans as well. You want a friendship with somebody, they don't want to be friends with you. You want a relationship with somebody, they don't want to be with you. And that's just how it works. You can't force people into like this situationship. It sounds like you got fucked. Congratulations. There's legitimately other dicks out there that might be legitimately better than his, but you got his dick so far up your own mind that you can't even think about something that could potentially be better for you. Why? Oh man. Bro, there has to be some women that are not like this. It has to be.
Them. They're not this. They're not that. And you don't even mean to do it, but it's just like it naturally, like you naturally just think like, damn, like no one can compare.
Right. No one who wants you can compare to men who don't want you. And in case you're hoping they grow out of it, just read that.
Apparently not.
And in case you're gonna say not all women are like that, I love my guesses and feelings. May I refer you to the movie Titanic? Nothing on Earth could come between them except for temperature. If you haven't seen Titanic, here's a timeline. It's about an old lady on her deathbed who had a long, full life with kids, grandkids, marriage, all the
and
all
she's
the
still thinking about
all
old
that
dude.
She can talk about is the one time that a homeless guy her on a boat. Box office smash. Do you see this blue line? That's Titanic. It beat Avatar. It beat Jurassic World. I don't know why that's there. But you see how these...
For real, who the fuck was watching Jurassic World? Apparently 70 million people, but why?
Lines kind of die out, and
People
this
like
one
dinosaurs,
keeps going. That's how much women love the guy who is never coming back. They prefer him to the guy who proposed twice.
So what do we do as men? That is the question, right? I get it. A lot of guys that are, 5 and below or whatever, was it 5 and below that can't get anything, right? How do we develop these men into being better, right? Because when there are better men, then eventually these women will start to settle. But I don't think we should just start making better men just to get women. We should make better men to help create a better society. Apparently, some of these people need to be led. Okay. We can't be the only one thinking this. I'm just saying it out loud. Okay. Some of these people cannot think for themselves. Something needs to change.
I have been the guy who's never coming back. There are girls I could have called whenever I wanted.
Facts.
I didn't want to. And
Facts.
that is what they do not understand. They think
they do not understand this shit at all.
Married. No, you didn't.
Psych.
You were either
nowhere close
or
Facts.
for now. That's
Facts.
where this diagram comes
and they
from.
Don't get
they
it.
all think that they almost got this guy, and that's why they don't want to settle for someone exactly like them. And that is what happens when you let people do what they want instead of making them do what is right. Prioritizing your selfish lower urges, what do I want, causes social decay. It's as simple as that.
This is a good ass video, man. I am disappointed And at the same time, I'm invigorated with the knowledge to know that basically a lot of us are fucked, but that doesn't mean that I am. And if you're watching this, you might not be either. So we'll get through it. Some people will suffer. Doesn't mean all of us have to. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all be safe.